Back here with the MazdaSpeed 6 today. Like I said, we're going to do a valve cover gasket install, clean up, polish some aluminum, make it real pretty. This car needs a lot of refurbishing to make it top notch, and that's the goal we're shooting for. So what I got is the FELPRO Victor Sam 50757R blue reusable valve cover gasket, which it's in dire need of. There's a lot of seepage around the valve cover. That's the only oil leak that I've diagnosed so far, so if all goes well, it'll be the only one. I suspect though that the oil pan gasket is leaking too, just because of the age. None of these gaskets have ever been serviced before on this vehicle. Like I said, 125,000 miles and very overdue. This car has had some campaigns done on it by the dealership. I believe the turbo center section and the high pressure fuel pump internals have been replaced. So the big stuff was done. Those were done approximately 100,000 miles ago, a little bit less. So, you know, it's kind of a gamble at this point, but the car seems to drive really good, with the exception of some worn out front suspension components. I haven't pushed it real hard. Hopefully once we get this stuff taken care of, we can push it a little harder on some of these twisty roads and find out how well this all-wheel drive system holds. Okay, first we're gonna take off the intercooler cover, two 10mm bolts. This car, we got one sheared bolt. So we'll be addressing that later with a tap and easy out whenever we have time. I've been soaking in penetrant already, make the job a little easier. You can see we're missing our Mazda emblem here too, so that's something we'll have to source and replace. Perfect. Goes clamp right there. This one right here, recirculation.
Glare from this sun. Okay.
3 12mm mount bolts.
1, 2, 3.
Get that out. And then we got the recirculation tube. That should do it. You always want to make sure your tubes are dry. There's no oil blow-by. You can see, I don't know how many times this has been off, but these tubes are spotless, which is a beautiful thing. It's a great surprise. Didn't know what the evidence was gonna be getting into this, but very happy to see that. So if you get a close-up on the valve cover, you can see all the oil seepage around the coil packs, around the perimeter. We're gonna be undoing all this. You have to get the intercooler mounting bracket out of the way. PVC disconnects, coil packs disconnect, and this should be pretty straightforward. It looks like, I'm not exactly sure. I don't think that's a 10mm, maybe an 8mm on the valve cover gasket bolts. So 8mm all the way around, and there's probably a dozen or so. Get that loom out of the way. Take out the coil packs first.
Set them off to the side and keep them in the order they were in. I'm going to try that flank big time. Let's turn it up.
Because I'm going to disconnect these. Okay, so there's 14 bolts total, 12 around the perimeter of the valve cover gasket, and then 2 in the middle where the coil packs go. See?
Timmy, what do you think, buddy? I did a pretty good job, I think. Let's check it out. Looks pretty good to me.
We already loaded our oil fill cap, our variable valve timing gasket, and the sensor. Marcel is pulling back in from the test drive, so we're going to check to see if there's any oil leaks. Everything looks good. We're going to do a little deep cleaning later on. Next time we get in here, clean up around this intake manifold stuff. So I found that PCV was easier to disconnect over here, and we'll disconnect this once we get it off. Just it's a blind on the back side, so it's tough to do. And then it should come over here, man. And then there's just a, you ready? You going? And there's just a little 10mm right here on the sub bracket for the intercooler. That's the only one that's really in the way. The big bracket doesn't have to come off, just this little 10. Oh, and that broke.